Greetings, Moors. Greetings, Moors. How are you today? Actually, this is a Greetings Everyone class. Greetings, everyone. Individuals that identify as Black, individuals that identify as African American, individuals that identify as white, individuals that identify as Moors. I know it's Sunday. It's usually a day where everybody is doing their thing and doing the things that matter to them. It's 1 o'clock in the afternoon. I know normally nobody's getting on social media at this time of the day. So what is the purpose of me coming on this live? One, to say hi, because you don't hear from me a lot, but more importantly, I came on this live to kind of give you guys some updates as it relates to what YeSharon Akasha Elrose Bay is doing. One of those things is offering classes on things that I believe are very essential to us as Moors, Black people, or however you identify within our cultural group. Islam, what do I mean when I say that? Normally on a Sunday, you won't find me on social media. I'll be getting busy with my week, but I'm going to start doing some quick 5-minute videos that I think are going to be good videos for Moors to kind of stay in the game. Eventually, I'm going to create a blog where we talk about everyday life, things that are impacting us as a community, things that I feel as though we need to be participating in and at least be knowledgeable or informed in regards to. I wanted to come on here to tell you about classes that I'm offering on Tuesdays. Actually, it's on Thursdays, which is a class that we're currently going over is false imprisonment. We're going over a class called false imprisonment on Thursdays. And this is a class to give our people some competencies. Competencies that we don't have because of the things that we've been taught, because of the things that we've been subjected to. And I know that there are a lot of you out there that don't like the 360 that YeSharon has done in regards to removing herself from the Moorish American consulate, removing herself from the Moorish National Republic federal government. It's necessary. The classes that I'm going to start probably within the next 2 weeks on international law. Because it is not okay for us to not have a political structure within our own dominions. When I say our own dominions, I'm talking about Northwest Amexem, even though it's not even Amexem. That word had to be striked out. As we gain knowledge and as we get a better handle on our problems, our systemic problems within our upon our land, we have to get engaged. We have to come together. That's the Nation of Islam. That's Moorish Science Temple. That's Moorish Americans. That's Moroccan nationals. We're all the same people fighting different, well, we think we're fighting different enemies. Our enemies are still the same. They've never been different. Our participation in it has been the issue. What do I mean when I say that? And now this platform is going to be a little long. This call is going to be a little long because I need my people, you and me both, to start focusing on the things that we need to focus on to have the change that we really are looking to have. The chain is what? Economic liberty. Economic liberty. Economic liberty. Just saying economic liberty, meaning we sitting here have the resources that we need and the support that we need from the United States of America, because they are your administrators. They are your administrators until we fire them as administrators. Can we fire them as administrators before the establishment of the Moroccan states that's going all over the country? Not necessarily. We can help manage, but they are holding all the cards and holding all the keys, right? And what do I mean by them holding all the keys? I'm going to start really doing a lot of videos and a lot of blogs so you and I both can get informed so we can do what needs to be done. I'm tired of the miseducation. I'm tired of the schisms. I'm tired of the little individual groups that our people participate in. I'm tired of the bullies. I'm tired of everybody thinking that they have the right thing or the right recipe or the right solutions. I think we all have a contribution to this thing. I think we all can contribute to the fixing of our problems here within our own land. The class that I'm going to give on international law is going to give you the competencies to not only participate, but to, if you can participate, because a lot of our people are not easy to work with. They're not easy to work with. We get into our feelings and emotions. We need people to start talking about those things too, because what is the biggest issue that our people in this country, so-called United States of America, which is not a country, we all know that. We're not going to talk about what is known. We're going to talk about moving into the future in regards to what it is that we need to be doing as a people. Now, in terms of the political platforms that are rising up within this 50 territories, there's Moroccan states rising up in all of these territories by declaring and proclaiming their independence and their sovereignty through the current norms of international law. That's why I'm doing a class on international law. I don't want to keep having conversation upon conversations, consultation upon consultation with Moors, and the very first thing that I have to do is get your competencies elevated in regards to what your fight is. Now, there's people who talk about different court cases. There's people who really can't read court cases or the language or understand the language. Don't get it twisted. I've been there as well at a point where certain words I'm listening to or I'm reading and I can't comprehend it because I had that fake, corny, colonialized European education that every last one of us on this platform or who hopefully will watch this video later have been on, where it didn't teach you what international law was. It didn't really teach you what government is, and it damn sure didn't teach you what your rights as individuals within those particular jurisdictions. It didn't even teach you what jurisdiction was. Why you think our people are the #1 individuals profiled out there in the streets. It's not necessarily because your skin is brown, because there's a lot of people who also have brown skin all over the continent who are not dealing with the same things. Those are Hindustanians, those are Chinese people, those are Africans, those are Jamaicans. There's a lot of people who don't have the same systemic issues that the so-called brown people in this country have because they don't have a political base. And the political base that they're really on, the governmental base that they're on, is not in the business of freeing you from the clutches of their hands because they're getting benefits. The benefits they're getting are the benefits you should be getting. The benefits I should be getting. Because we are the beneficiaries, right? We're the beneficiaries, but we are within that social paradigm. You have no political base. And if the very people who are violating you are the very people you have to go to for remedy. Now, is that fair? Is that unbiased? No, it's not fair and unbiased. And will they be impartial? No, they won't be impartial because they are getting benefits within that system to treat you exactly the way that they are treating you. And that I watched a quick YouTube video. I think it was it was a TikTok, where a woman was asking a table full of European women, would you trade places with a so-called black woman? And as European women will always try to act like they understand the problems. Okay, so what they're ultimately telling you is that either we see what's going on with you or we're going to act ignorant towards what's going on with you because we're getting a benefit to keep our mouths quiet within our own social paradigm. So if I tell you that I'm living on your land and if I tell you that I'm stealing from you, then I have a responsibility to give you back what I took, right? So if I'm benefiting from your misfortune, why would I tell you anything about that? Why would I even act like you're not hallucinating the problems within your life. You're not realizing that one wrongful conviction based on criminality can take everything away from you, could put you in a spiral that 90% of our people can't come back from. And it ain't even necessarily they can't come back from it because of what violations that have happened. They can't come back from it from their own people who ostracize them because we don't have that base. We don't have that platform, that familyhoodness where we can support each other. So I'm here to tell you that I'm going to start having a live broadcast where we're talking and we're negotiating and we're trying to figure out how to fix these problems, because I continually have Moors, have Asiatics, have black men and women, African men and women contact me in regards to, well, what is it that I need your help? And the best help that I can give our people today is knowledge. Knowledge of knowing who you are, knowledge of knowing what laws and support you currently have, even as a so-called protege of the United States of America. And the partnership of that, okay, I become a so-called protege of the United States of America. So I got benefits. I've got privileges, right? And what are they getting in return? Utilization, access of your land, because now it is under this jurisdiction of them, right? So now because you've allowed them to make you a quasi-citizen, because you've allowed them to, you've been allowed to participate within their jurisdiction, because you don't have a jurisdiction of your own, you don't have a government of your own, because of not necessarily the war, but the coup d'etat. The coup d'etat by the United States of America against the Moroccan Empire. The same laws, the same treaty rights that they have, you have. But in order for you to act upon them, we have to become states. We have to establish states. Now, we can't just sit here as I thought, that we could just sit here and fill out a proclamation, a lawful name correction, and a proclamation to say, oh, we're Moors. Well, before we can proclaim to be something, we have to create that something, right? The Moroccan Empire is here. It's never left. It's just going managed by its own people. It's being managed through the contract, which is the Treaty of Peace and Friendship, for which there's two parties, the United States of America, the Moroccan Empire. And because the Moroccans have not reseated themselves within consular court. Now, another misnomer. We thought that we could just establish consular courts, make names up as it relates to the names of our states, not necessarily, and then just start acting in that capacity. Well, technically, there's nothing wrong with doing that. But lawfully, there's laws, treaties, that the Moors have established that tell any state how that they are supposed to come into existence, right? That's the Treaty of Algiers. I have on my platform, on my academy, which is at YeSharon by StarAcademy.com. That's YeSharon by StarAcademy.com. There's going to be a lot of changes on the site. There's going to be a lot of information on the site. Donations is definitely needed so I can continue to provide the content, as well as be able to do the things that I have a passion. My number one passion is knowledge. My number one passion is getting us where we as a community, we as people are supposed to be. We're supposed to be managing our own estates. We're supposed to be having a political, economical, and equality-based government within our jurisdictions. In the United States of America is just a party within it. It's not the government. It's just an organization that was established, that has been given the authority to administer the estates, because the Moors didn't come back into government. Well, they've been coming back in throes since 2021 with the But before that, we were all identifying again outside of our identity through a lot of these other organizations. I fell prey to these things just like every other Moor has fell prey to these things, thinking that a person can sign your documents who didn't have any political affiliations outside of the same political affiliations that you and I both had, which is under the United States of America. Look, Moors, I have so much to tell you, and I'm just going to start telling you. I'm going to just start being open and expressing that we need to stop just like overstaying. I like TikTok. I like Facebook. I like Netflix. I like all of these different social platforms. But at the end of the day, those are entertainment. We need to get our political structures intact. We need to have social media talking about these things, people on social media talking about these things, so our people can come with the competencies, right? Because we want to create businesses. We want to create established communities. We want to regain our communities and not keep allowing them to be gentrified. Gentrified, meaning if you're not going to control the territory for which you domicile, right? So if you renting your home, or even if you're owning your home, you are, living in a community, right? Well, do we really have communities anymore? Is there any such thing as a community, or is it just maybe one block? That one block might be your community, even though your community, so-called, if it's, let's say, wherever you domicile, you might not know but two people on your block. That's a problem. That's not a community. We have to reestablish control of our communities, reaffirm the commitments of those businesses that come within our community, whereas though they are a benefit to our people. And if they're not going to be a benefit to the community, then we need to stand up and allow them to come. There's no reasons why every other nation outside of this country, outside of this continent, is able to come here and establish businesses and then push out the neighborhood people from any type of increase. No. If we're going to want Hindustanians, Chinese, if we're going to want any of these people building businesses within our communities, well, then one of the requirements means you got to have at least a 5%, 10%, right? You have to have something in the community, right? So we got to start reestablishing these things. Get involved in communities. Don't get it twisted. When we first start participating in things, it's going to be like a brothel, in my opinion, because most people, when they have a mind to come together, everybody's got their own ideas, everybody's got their own opinions. But if you do it based on the DAR system, the DAR system was something established by a very, very close friend of mine. It's called discipline, accountability, and respect. It's called discipline, accountability, and respect, and we need to regain that amongst one another. We need to regain that amongst one another. We need to be coming together. A lot of the ideas that I have today are the same ideas I had back in 2018 when 2018 actually, it was like 2017, 2016, when I came into the so-called Moorish movement to find out, well, why are we not anywhere further than we started? Why are we not progressing as a people? What is it that we need to be doing in order to progress? Well, now we have the blueprint. We not only have the blueprint, we have the laws that we've established that tell us what the heck we are supposed to be doing within our Islam, within our dominions, right? So the classes that I'm going to give on international law are going to be based primarily, not solely, primarily on Moroccan treaties. And those treaties I've been harping about since I've known of the additional. Everybody knows about the Treaty of Peace and Friendship. Everybody knows about the Treaty of Madrid, those two first treaties, but nobody understood the Treaty of Algiers, the General Acts Treaty. That particular treaty tells Moors how to reestablish their sovereignty within their dominions by establishing the Moroccan state. And it told you exactly what you needed to do to establish it and to begin functioning as a Moroccan government. Moors, we can assist each other, but we can't hold each other hostage by not providing and sharing the information because of your own ideas of, or the lack of ideas. Because if we have discipline, respect, and accountability, the accountability piece is we're all supposed to be supporting each other. We're all supposed to be there for each other. If you're a party to, like, everybody tells me these things. Oh, you could do the UCC, secure party creditor, establishing the estate. Like, if you don't understand international law, please take the class. Please take the class, because it's not just about establishing a trust. And once you establish a trust and you get an administrator of the trust, well, guess what? Who is administering the estates out right now within the Moroccan Empire? It's the United States of America. It is the United States of America through their intergovernment. Those are the individuals managing your estate because it's been abandoned. Now, everybody thinks about it on a me situation. Okay, so I'm not going to abandon my estate. I'm going to become a Moroccan national, and then I'm going to establish my trust, and then I'm going to operate through my trust. And many people are on platforms saying, oh, I'm operating through my trust. I don't pay any bills. I don't do this. I don't do that. Are they telling you the truth? I believe in what I can prove, not what I hear. What I see, right? Just like you're supposed to believe what you see, not what you hear, right? Because I think our people waste way too much time participating in all these groups. Let me tell you, I've known Moors who could spit that UCC, who could spit that secure party creditor, who went all the way to the Treasury direct accounts. They still had their house taken away from them. They still were detained, and they still had to pay rent. So if you're still doing those things and this trust is not able to discharge any of these debts because there is no money, House Joint Resolution 192, like, come on, we all been there. If you have not been, or if you don't understand the language that I'm saying, then you're still in the early stages and you're going down those pitfalls. I call them pitfalls because people challenge and they get violated. Because what is the recourse once violated? What court are you going to go into once violated? And how long is it going to take you to get a remedy once violated? Now, it's okay to have a trust, but who is going to adjudicate that trust, Morris? We were doing things not necessarily wrong, but out of sequential order. What do I mean when I say sequential order? I mean the state has to come first. The state comes first. The establishment of your sovereignty comes first. That is a state. International law, your treaties said what it is that you had to do. Now, if we go back to the Treaty of Madrid, because like I love doing these vlogs, and I'm going to start doing them more often. I'm going to start having them live, and maybe during I don't know, a Thursday. Actually, that's a class day. Wednesday is another obligations day, but maybe during the week, or maybe it could be on Tuesday, or maybe it can be on Monday. I gotta figure out a date when it should be done. Should it be in the evening, or should it be in the middle of the afternoon? I'm not necessarily sure. I like afternoon because I'm fresh. I'm ready. About 7 o'clock in the evening, I'm ready to decompress and kind of shut down and relax. That's what I'm pretty much ready for towards the end of the day. But why am I saying all this? I'm saying all this because we need to talk about the things that is actually going to have change, not only for ourselves, but for our communities, because individual success to me is not success. I mean, it's success to you on a personal level, because success is just being able to do what it is that you put your hand to do. So you're successful. If you're looking at society's version of success, you'll never be successful. And the people that you thinking are successful are not even successful. They just are presenting that, they are just presenting that that flavor of, oh, I'm successful because I have a car, or I have a house, or I have, other material things, as opposed to, well, if that is the only thing that you said that you wanted to do, then yes, you're successful. Your success is based on what it is that you decided to do and was able to accomplish. So I think we need to be a little bit more realistic in that aspect. But but to go back to the Treaty of Madrid, we all know the Treaty of Madrid talks about what a Moor has to do in order to reclaim nationality, right? Well, in order to claim nationality is conferred through a state. So a state has to come before it. Well, the Treaty of Algiers told you, 1906. I'm trying to tell you, these different laws, these different requirements that we had to participate in was here before we even materialized in this plane of existence. Because the Treaty of Peace and Friendship first started in 1787, right? And then it was re-ratified, I guess, in 1836. Then you got the Treaty of Madrid. That was 1880. Rights in Morocco. Rights and protections in Morocco, right? That was in 1880. And then we got the Treaty of Algiers. General Acts. The General Acts. That was in 1906. Then you got the Treaty of Fez, the French Protectorate Treaty they call. That was in 1912, 1914. I'm always fuzzy on that one. Then you got the Treaty of Montevideo. I never can say that word. So what the point I'm trying to say, those are just the main treaties. And then you got the conventions, the Vienna Convention on Consular Relations, the Vienna Convention on Diplomatic Agents, the Vienna Convention on, or the Convention on Genocide. I can't remember if that was in Vienna. You got the genocide, South America versus Israel just had a court case earlier this year, like around January, the first week, I think it was in January, where that case was brought up for Palestine, I believe it was. Don't get me to lying about it. That is where we're going. Because we got to realize it's only but so much talking you can do to the other party. But the realities are we're not being heard because we have not even followed our own laws to be heard, right? Submitting to jurisdictions that don't have consular courts. The United States of America relinquished their consular jurisdiction back in 1952 through the during the France and United States of America case, where France needed to know, brought that case against United States of America to the ICJ because of what? Why did they bring them to the ICJ, the International Criminal Court of Justice, through the United Nations Charter? Why did they bring them? Well, because the United States thought, because they had the Treaty of Peace and Friendship, that nullified them from... Because there's no Moors overstaying, the Moors still acting like Negro, colored, and black people, and ain't creating their own political affiliations because they getting busy with all these civil rights people and these different black men and women who are saying, oh, we need civil rights. No, you never needed that. Oh, we need racial discrimination. Didn't need that either. Oh, we need the Nation of Islam. Oh, let's come over here. I don't even think they offer anything. I don't even know what the Nation of Islam is. Just a bunch of our sons and daughters going to church. That's what it seems like to me. Because if I look at it this way, I look at everything this way. What has being a participant in your church, temple, masjid, nation, because we're talking about the Nation of Islam, which only means a nation of peace. That's what Nation of Islam means, or a nation of peace, to know thyself. But yet none of these organizations, I'm talking about churches, I'm talking about temples, I'm talking about all these different religious affiliations, never did anything in terms of your political and your governmental status in international law or in the current place you domicile, right? So you're considered an inhabitant. We're protected with rights as a protege. Because international court, again, there was another convention, international court, the convention on the statelessness of all these people, right? Because they're like, okay, how do we get all these people? And we talking early 1900s Moors. We talking all these people, Malcolm X's, Elijah Muhammad, especially, who was under Prophet Noble Jew Ali. And we're talking about Martin Luther King. They want to praise these people. The Europeans done created, holidays around these figures, but these figures in our communities didn't really do anything for us, but everything that they were able to accomplish actually went against what we needed as a people, which is a political platform, which is our own jurisdiction, which is a state outside of the state that we currently domicile in, figuratively speaking, I mean. So what am I saying? I'm saying our people have been wasting their freaking time, all of this time, because a lot of your own only get these political platforms or these particular statuses under the United States to keep you in blind obedience to them. Right? We got the Al Sharpton, we got the Jesse Jackson. We have all of these men that are our sons that are doing nothing for their mothers and their women and their children. It's about a legacy. It's about our people when they get out of a school of thought to being able to participate in and actually be something. Not necessarily having to go get a job. That's slavery. Because why are we working and paying to stay and live on the land that we own, that we've given away our sovereignty by capitulating to the regime of the United States of America? Even if that was a good thing for us, we're not benefiting in that identification, Moors. You're not benefiting. You're paying for everything. At the end of your work week, after busting your butt, because people be like, oh, you have all day. Well, no, your whole day is at work. Literally, you have nothing but the weekend if you just work Monday through Friday. You work Monday through Friday. That's all day. By the time you get home, the day is over, right? Children are not being raised by their parents. They're just living with them. Because you don't even have time to create, because you're too busy trying to survive. We are too busy trying to survive in a jurisdiction where everybody gets a benefit but you. If you don't want to work and you want to stay home and just deal with your trauma, you have every right to do that. You can't even deal with any of the systemic issues that, listen to this, all of a sudden. You see what I'm listening to? All that? Yeah. All that. All the time. In our communities. All the time. I'll wait for it to pass. Distraction, absolutely. But understand, when you have a pot full of people, when you have a pot full of people who have been distressed, who have been victimized, not only by social engineering through the system that we're in, but by each other. Because we get into these unhealthy relationships, don't nobody want to work, our people are dealing with a lot. So when you live in a community that has been oppressed, yeah, you're going to hear that a lot. You're going to hear that a lot. So I don't hate on it. I just let it pass. Okay, let me let it pass. Let them pass before I continue, right? Today is Sunday. Like I said, this is me just talking, starting to get you inspired to have conversations about the things that we need to have a conversation. I'll even bring my son in and his friends on one of these blogs so the children can start platforms to talk about the things that bother them about us, their parents, right? My son talks about it a lot. I think we need to hear what they got to say as well. Because you think that they're not being oppressed. They're being oppressed by you as well as the community. Because just like my parents and just like their parents, we are telling them to do exactly what we are doing, right? And what we are doing isn't benefiting us. And they don't want to go work for these individuals where they get victimized, violated, abused mentally, socially. We're just like how back when Martin Luther King was fighting for civil rights and desegregation. Remember that? Remember the little girl, I don't remember her name, where she was being led into school. She was being led into an all-white school with armed guards. And those armed guards, they weren't Asiatics. They were white people, Europeans. Marching her into a school to go get an education with individuals that didn't want her there. Children didn't want her there. Teachers didn't want her there. Parents didn't want her there. That whole community didn't want her there. And this little girl was about what? 10? 12 maybe? I don't remember her age. When you look at it today versus back then, and even when you looked at it back then, that was the most vile thing a parent could force a child to do. But we do it every day today. We do it every day today. Because we want to participate. No, we shouldn't want to participate. We should want to create our own and do our own thing. Because guess what participation has gained? Guess what we've gained with our participation? Absolutely nothing. Now, instead of an Albion or a so-called white person or a so-called European on the news spreading bad news, now you got a sister doing the same damn thing because she's got integrated into that society. At least on the surface, she feels like she has some type of political aspirations. But if they want something, then the moment they want something, she's going to be victimized at the side of the street just like anybody else. Yes, absolutely. Because of course, they started to control us because we were participating. Before, we had stores, we had communities, we didn't have mortgages on our house, we had allodial titles, we had everything. Now we are trying to reverse because we participated. Even though back then we didn't even have a political platform to operate. We still were proteges and different things of theirs, but we still didn't have the platform. We just created our own communities, and that's where we were. And whenever an Albion came around, we just all looked at that person, but we couldn't tell them they couldn't come in. We couldn't stop them from even coming into the communities because we were still living under their jurisdiction, but we had our own communities, right? Segregation. We didn't want to be a part of their communities. That was considered propaganda. That, again, we fall for everything. We fall for everything. You want to know why? Because we don't have our own political base. We would never fall for this because we would have actual politicians that would keep all of that nonsense at bay through our states, right? That means whenever an Albion wants to, or whenever a European or any other so-called foreigner has an issue with a contractual obligation that you might have inadvertently put yourself in, well, they can't take you to the district court. They can't take you to the magistrate. They can't summons. They can't detain you. They can't steal your things. They got to come to consular court where the law, not how you feel about this person or what organization you belong to with that person or what affiliations you have, because actually colonialism is just about a transfer of wealth. They don't really care, and they'll use the terminology, oh, it's just business. Oh, okay, when we establish our states, it's going to be just business too. When we send our consular court orders for taxes, for interest in the lands that you're currently inhabiting that you're not paying for, oh, it's going to be business at that particular time too. Because we are from here. No matter what you may have been taught, we got proof. You want to know what the proof is that we got? Treaties. Treaties are the only proof you needed to understand, to realize that you have an identity. You have proof you didn't come over in a slave ship. So when I still hear our people talk about we came over here in the slave ship, I'm like, baby, you got to go read this treaty, because this treaty is talking about the United States of America, which at one point was only European and is still today. Only Europeans were a party to that, and these Europeans were individuals who expatriated from their European brethrens because they didn't want to be that anymore. They wanted their own political platform, which was what the United States was originally established for. You weren't a party to that. And it was so funny because, like I said, I've been wherever you are right now. When I first started and I was reading the treaty, treaty of peace and friendship, because we had our own judicial system, right? And then you want to sit here and be like, well, why don't we have any documents for issues between each other, right? Because where was the documents at? Probably the original Library of Congress, probably all burnt when they were doing their coup d'etat, destroying all of the records that we had, not only allodial titles, everything. So when you sit here talk about, oh, we came from Africa. Well, Africa is a new term, by the way. It's a new term, and it's a European term. It's not even the term that identify the people. The people identified by their so-called nationality. Now, some of those so-called African people, and I say that so loosely, I don't like saying it, but if I say what it is, you won't understand what I'm talking about. Those Liberians, those Ethiopians, those Hindustanians, those Manchurians is a language. These other people, right? Those terminologies were given to us through colonialism. That's why Africans, they'll just sit there and go with you calling them an African, because they know you don't know who you are. So how the heck are you going to know who they are? Because you don't even know to ask. Because when you present yourself as a black person. What am I saying? I miss talking. This is therapeutic for me. It is completely and utterly therapeutic for me. And my job is to make sure we all have the best information so we can do the best that we can for each other, for self, but more importantly for our children. Because our children shouldn't be going to white schools. They shouldn't be going to white universities. They shouldn't be having the only prospect when they come out of college to be in a job. We should be making sure they have the keys that they need to start creating businesses so they can have a legacy. So they ain't got to go and become employees and be disrespected and underpaid and underappreciated by having to participate with these Europeans. Right? So it's in all of our best interest to start acting like adults. And I'm going to keep saying that. And to absorb the DAR system. Discipline, respect, and accountability. We want our children to behave a certain kind of way, but we are not behaving that certain kind of way, Morse. We are teaching them to do the exact same thing that we learned. And we know, where have we gotten in doing that? Nowhere. We actually are going backwards, right? I watched an episode or a TikTok where an individual said, nothing is guaranteed in this life. You're going to experience pain. You're going to experience loss. You're going to experience the death of your mother, the death of your father, and possibly the death of your children or spouse or siblings. You're going to have conflict. You're going to have disputes. You may even be victimized by all of the people I so named. But the one thing, you can't have an expectations. Just realize when these things happen, you have to figure out, well, what am I getting from this? What is it that I'm supposed to learn? And don't get stuck in the trauma of it and how it made you feel. Because it made you feel like that at one particular time. And it is in your best interest to get through that pain and to use that pain for positive outcomes for yourself and for others. What he said was this: change, positive change, doesn't just happen. We're not going to get where we want to get by just elapse of time. And the past has already shown you that, right? It's going to take action. It's going to take you doing something to participate or facilitate that change that you want, because it's not guaranteed. The only thing that is guaranteed is if you continue to be uneducated, if you continue to be unknowledgeable, if you don't grasp the knowledge that is necessary to propel you to the next level, you are going to stay exactly where you are, and you're going to start reverting back to where you came, right? So we fought against slavery, and we found ourselves enslaved once again. And we've been participating in that slavery because we see each other go through it. We see it happening to all of us, and we don't participate to make sure it doesn't happen again. And as one of our Moors would say, if they mess with you, they mess with me. That is a true culture. That is a true unity. Not, okay, let's see who gets there first and then just showboat. Like, we love to brag about nothing. Everybody's bragging about nothing. You don't have nothing to brag about. Car you don't own. You paying more. You paying lease payments on it. You don't own it. And once you stop paying lease payments on it, it can be taken from you for a multitude of things. To pay a debt because you violate a municipal code, a multitude of things. House, if you got a mortgage, or even if you're renting, you don't own it because it can be taken. Free and true ownership is allodial, meaning it can't be seized for no reasons. No reasons can this item that I own be seized from me. I can only willfully give it to you through a contractual obligation, right? So we're sitting here acting as if we have something, and we just have the right of usage. The right of usage. I'm going to say that again. The right of usage. Eventually, I'm going to start writing on this little board again so y'all can sit here and be in harmony with me. Eventually, I'm going to start writing on that again when I have these classes, because like I said, I got time. So I'm going to use the time for the betterment of myself and the betterment of you while I have it, and see if we can start doing things. But again, part of what my goal is right now with the classes that are on Thursday is false imprisonment. It's a class called false imprisonment. I've been talking about it since last year. I've been teaching about it since last year. I have just upgraded my teaching platform, and I want to start having like little TikTok videos on social media where I could kind of just point out certain things that people need to be aware of, because guess what? As you elevate your knowledge base and a lot of these very, 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 very important aspects, guess what happens? You're going to interact with so-called policy enforcers different. You're going to interact with them different. And I tell everybody, don't do something if you can't defend it. If you can't defend yourself, don't do it. If you don't and I say this all the time, like even like, okay, let me give an example. If you want to sell drugs, I don't recommend it, but the pharmaceuticals sell drugs. They got licenses to sell drugs. And those drugs are having much more of a negative impact than than some things that you're getting on the streets. But if that's what you want to do, know the law. So if you find yourself in a situation, you can defend, right? I will never tell you what you can and can't do. And the law doesn't tell you what you can and can't do. The law says, look, you can do whatever you want to do as long as you don't hurt anybody in doing it. You can do whatever you want to do as long as you don't hurt anybody when you're doing it. Because a crime, a felony. Oh, let's talk about a felony. Let me tell y'all something. For some reason, I just had the desire to talk to you guys. And I'm going to try to make these little skits like 5 minutes or less, maybe 2 minutes. I'm going to do 2-minute skits. They're going to be with me. I'm going to pull my, that's beautiful. I'm going to pull my son in here. I'm going to pull his friends in here where we're going to do mock little thing. We're going to firstly we're going to do them all over the community to show you guys the law. Just to try to inspire us to do things. Not that just everything ain't got to be funny and ain't got to be entertaining. Actually, this stuff will be entertaining, but at the end of the day, you'll still be learning something. Because what is a felony? And I hate when I see these things. And we got to understand what is the difference between a statutory regulation and ordinance, a law, and what constitutes a felony. That's open to the floor. What's a felony? Because there's things that are identified as felonies, but there's a serious, unique qualification for something to be labeled as a felony. Does anybody on this platform currently know what a felony is versus a misdemeanor? What's a felony? Come on, y'all. I know when I start asking questions, people start getting like, maybe I'll type it now. Like, wait, YeSharon, I'm typing it. It just takes me a minute. Or you went to go check real quick on the search, and you're just gonna copy and paste the definition, which is not what I'm asking. I'm asking, what is a felony? And I'm asking you what a felony is because you are here, right? So I don't want Google's version of what a felony is. I want your version of what a felony is. So the question is, what's a felony? Come on, somebody. Hey, Rosine, you can't say nothing because you be in classes. What's a felony? No. What's a trespass? What's an assault and battery? These are all part of the curriculum that I'm teaching in false imprisonment. And then we'll be talking about what is international law. You violated a code. You violated a code. A felony is not a code. A code is supposed to represent a felony, right? So a code might possibly be the different categories for a felony. Islam, I know, Razine. So like, come on. I know y'all know this answer. There's 10 people on this platform. I like to engage people. Understand, that's what I do in classes. That's what I do everywhere. Because like I said, this is my passion. I almost became an attorney. I'm glad I didn't become an attorney because this would be difficult for me to move from being an attorney where I'm just making money off of the stupidity of humanity. Or not necessarily the stupidity of humanity and the lack of informed so-called citizens, proteges, and protected classifications of persons within a jurisdiction. I'm sitting here profiting off of the fact that you don't know anything. And if you knew just how little they do and how much you pay for how little they do, it's in everybody's best interest to be knowledgeable in the law, right? Because I hear cases, or I hear individuals who have attorneys who will say, what will they say? They'll say, well, my attorney didn't file that. I was like, I know. Their job is not to defend you. It's only to represent you. It's not to defend you, really. Unless they really like you, or they're a lawyer and not an attorney. Trayvon, you over there?
Yeah.
You dressed?
Yeah, dressed.
Come. You got any clothes on? No. Oh, Lord. I wanted to introduce you to my people so they could get an idea of who you are. Put a shirt on and come in here and say hi, because he's going to be a part of a lot of blogs, because I'm trying to get the children involved so they can kind of, he ultimately wants to be a vlogger too. So I want to get him comfortable being in the camera and speaking to you. But again, nobody still put the definition of their idea of what a felony is. Come on, Morse. Come on, black people, if you're on this platform as well. Come on, even white people. I should my platform is public, so you know white people could jump on here if they wanted to tell me what a felony is. Come on, y'all. I'm gonna tell you what a felony is, and that's the only thing that is listed in the Constitution for the United States of America. What a felony is. A felony is a harm, right? It's a harm against another. It's a harm instigated by one against another. And it's an egregious harm. So a felony is murder or attempted murder or something like that. Lord, wait a minute. I'm going to give you the definitions. I'm going to give you the actual definition of it. Or Razine, pull it up. Because there are certain situations, certain things, kidnapping, arson, rape, murder, I said that already. A heinous crime is a felony. A heinous crime against another. So there has to be something towards a physical altercation. Physical is a felony. Why are a lot of these so-called civil complaints listed as criminal complaints? Because a criminal complaint is a felony. So why are all of these other things where there's not even a body? It's a municipal code, as the person put earlier. It's a municipal code violation. A municipal code violation is a civil claim the state is bringing upon you for injuries for a violation of a code, ordinance, regulation, or statute. What was part of the convention to even establish the United States? What was a condition? You had to follow the Constitution for the United States of America, right? Not only did you have to follow the Constitution for the United States of America, nothing that was in your state regulations, nothing in your state constitution that's contrary to the Constitution for the United States of America was standing. Meaning, state codes and regulations and ordinances are not criminal complaints. But yet, they're criminal complaints and listed as felonies, right? Why do you think every so-called state has a Supreme Court and a higher court and a lower court? Because the lower courts are filled with dummies who put charges against other dummies. So, and when I say dummy, that's not a derogatory term. It's the term that identifies someone who doesn't know something that they ought to know, right? So you ought to know what the Constitution says because those are your rights, right? You ought to know that, but our people don't. So what is a gun charge under? What does the Constitution say? Constitution says something about guns. You have the right to bear arms, right? So if you have the right to bear arms, then how can that right be taken away from you? Or how can you be held against a charge of an illegal firearm? How can a firearm be illegal if the Constitution says you have the right to bear arms? That's a contradiction, right? You thought the Constitution don't apply to citizens. You're talking about denizens, which is a quasi-citizen. Is that what you're talking about? Because if you're in a lower court, a ministerial court, because that's where a lot of those violations are originally brought up, they can only talk about municipal codes of their state. That case is automatically supposed to be taken to a different jurisdiction, right? Because that particular jurisdiction that magistrate has cannot even hear cases of constitutional questions because it only can regulate over state regulations or municipal code violations. So they don't have the subject matter to talk about things that they are not a party to. So You're bringing it in that case, right? But that case is supposed to be moved out of that venue into a higher court, for which that case would most likely be thrown out, because, to be honest, you do have the right to, because the Constitution gives you that right. I'm not necessarily sure what the state constitutions give you, because think about it this way, Morris. The only place they could probably say you can't have that firearm is in a federal building, meaning you would have to check it at the door. I wouldn't take it in there because, you know, I'll be honest, they broke. Cops is broke. They only make money when they arrest people. They might even be on commission-based salary at this point. Who knows? I don't know. They get a base. You know how everybody get a base salary, but then they get commission. So every offense is a commission. Every case they bring is a commission. So they always looking for the people who might not know the law so they can get a commission. Or they might steal your property. How do they steal your property? They detain you and then don't give you your shit back. They detain you and then don't give you the stuff back. And then a lot of you be scared to go get it. Because you really believe cops know the law. And they absolutely don't. Why don't they know the law? More is because they have never been challenged. They've never had a civil case come up against them that didn't get thrown out because the argument was not legitimate. And when I say the argument was not legitimate, abandonment, right? And that's abandonment only if it was logged in as evidence to a case. Because understand, and these are all topics that we're going to discuss in class. And let me tell you, once I start talking, I don't know how to stop. So this is just us talking. This is a class. You can come on if you want, like just add, like, oh, I want to join you, YeSharon. Because this is going to be a vlog, and I'm going to do it probably every day or as often as I can manage it. Right? Because too many people don't know the realities that to search your vehicle is a consent without a warrant. And there's only 2 conditions for which they can detain you without a warrant. 2. Anybody know those? Without a warrant, they can't detain you unless these 2 elements are present. And if they do without them, and if they do without those 2 elements being present, guess what? False imprisonment, civil case, you can claim an injury for that, especially if there was an injury. Because I think anybody getting detained by a policy enforcer and the way they are just brutal, that's a traumatic experience by itself without actually suffering any actual damages. If you cause harm, right? So you got 2 elements that have to be present without a warrant. And you have to have 6 elements that have to be present with a warrant to make it valid. Come on, you want to talk? You too naked? Is that what it is? How he want to be a vlogger and scared to get in front of the camera?
I'm scared to get in front of the camera.
Come on, y'all want to see my handsome son? He's so handsome. Come on, Trey, say hi.
What's up, y'all? How y'all feeling? How y'all living today?
How y'all living today? Islam, introduce yourself.
Hello, my name is Trayvon L.A. And you know, hello.
Come on, promote yourself. I'm about to do some vlogs, and what's going to be your topic? What you going to be talking about in your vlogs?
Everything.
Everything like what? What's going to be your main thing that you're going to talk about in your vlogs?
My main thing? Shoot. Probably like, it's a lot of things.
So now, see, and this is where Mom gets in and says, come on, we're going to write the top 10 things that you're going to talk about in your vlog. You got to write it down, put it on your board in your room. These are the things I want to talk about in my vlog.
Islam to y'all as well.
Islam. He's so shy. It ain't like y'all in front of him. Y'all on a camera. And y'all. So, you have no excuse for your next appearance. I don't know what you're talking about. What you talking about, Razzie? So yes, in order for a warrant to be valid, it has to have 6 elements established in that warrant for that warrant to be valid. And for a arrest without a warrant, 2 elements have to be present, right? And I'm just going to tell y'all, there's so many situations where they try to validate why they stopped you when you're traveling on the roads, or when you're even walking, right? I know that's right. When you're either walking and minding your own business, right? Does a policy enforcer, which everybody identifies as a police officer, do they have the right to interact with you? Do they have the right to interact with you? That's the question, right? Do they have the right? That's open to the floor. I do these things. Do a policy enforcer have the right to come and ask you a question? And do you have to answer it? Because I think TV has a lot of people thinking they just have this authority just by the sheer point that they got uniforms on. No, they don't. They got uniforms on, a stun gun, a taser gun, pepper spray, one of those things they hit you with, can't think of that, and then an arm, a firearm, and then they got the bulletproof vest on, trying to make it look like they all big and husky, and they ignorant as hell, unless they're not, unless they're just quiet, right? So having a dead tag is a probable cause for the search of your car. Give me an example of what a dead tag is. What's a dead tag? And how do you identify a tag to being dead? This is things you have to let me know, because what's a dead tag? Tell me what a dead tag is. How would they even identify a dead tag? What would they need to do to determine whether a tag is dead? Because I'm going to tell you, why did the states take off those little stickers, the stickers on the registration? Why did they take the stickers off the registration, off the license plates in the back of your vehicles that tell you if it's been inspected or not, and if it's outside of inspection? Okay, so you're saying the tag is not... So you're saying the tag is... Or are you talking about the tag in front for inspections? Inspections, or are you talking about for registration in the back? I'm getting confused because there's both, one's on the front and one's on the back. But at the end of the day, the one on the back, I'm talking about the license plate. They don't have the right to run your numbers. That's a search. Because in order for them to find out whether that tag is valid or not, that's a search. They can't search your vehicle. Overstaying, there's only 2 elements that they can detain you for. They see, I'm going to give it to you. They see you committing a felony. They have to see you committing a felony. That's one. Or a breach of the peace. And they have to see you doing that too. They have to witness you with their own 2 eyes of you breaching the peace or committing a felony. Those are the only 2 situations they can detain you without a warrant. Only 2. So if they don't see you commit a felony and somebody else says they saw you commit a felony, well, they got to file a complaint, and then they got to get they got to file that affidavit, and then they have to get a warrant before they come touch you because they didn't see it. And a breach of the peace is what? It ain't a moving violation, that's for damn sure. Like a speeding, that's not breaching the peace. Speeding ticket. just trying to tell y'all. Only reason why we get pulled over and Albion's be flying. Albion be flying down the road. You think he's just flying down the road because he's white. And he's a part of the so-called protected class. No, he flying down the road because he know the law. And that cop know he know the law. It ain't just because they are part of that special classification that they can participate in certain things with impunity. They know the law. And they know the argument. And they know they ain't got to come. They know so much. Why ain't they telling y'all? Y'all people that sleeping with them and got babies with them. Why ain't they telling y'all the law? I'm just trying to say, are they really your friend? If they ain't telling you what you got to do to free yourself of their clutches, but yet y'all got family. I just always wonder these things. Like, why are we still in this situation where everybody got these privileged relationships and these different orders and these different communities and living with Albions, but yet they ain't free. They just with an Albion. I don't get it. I just really don't get it. So, how do policy enforcers try to legitimize their stops? Oh, we saw you swerving in and out of the traffic. They try to use that, right? Breaching the peace, right? That's what they're trying to say. That's what they're trying to say. A resisting arrest. You don't realize you have the lawful right to resist an unlawful arrest. You absolutely have that right. Because outside of an order issued, that's a warrant. That's an order being issued by a court to detain. That's an order. That policy enforcer doesn't have authority on his own unless two conditions are met. He witnessed you with his eyes that you were breaching the peace or committing a felony. Without those things present, he has to go get a warrant. So how would I relieve myself from these rule regulations and violations? What you mean, how would you relieve yourself of these rules, regulations? Because understand, anything that's not a part of the Constitution for the United States of America, because that's how everybody got grandfathered in to these so-called corporate state municipalities or states, because you're a party to at the federal district. That's where the Moors really are, really. When they try to pull you in for these violations, you're going to have to present the legal argument against them, which means I did not sign a contract to be held to these regulations, rules. I'm not an employee of the state, which is the only people you can hold these to. I didn't willfully submit to that contract. That's where, you know, where we talked about earlier, where you get your trust done, and, you know, because all of this is private, right? So all of this is private, which is where you create your own status, as it not necessarily status, where you create your trust and you create your copyright and you create your, which is under the trust, and you create your fees, fines, and penalties, because when they breach your trust, right? When they breach your trust, then you can hold them accountable. But again, in that same jurisdiction, it becomes difficult, and it becomes like this ever elusive battle that never ends. Because why? You're going to the same people who are violating you, and they're going to try to hold. That's why I always say, you know, don't use their forms, create your own forms, and just make sure all the elements are within those forms, so you don't pigeonhole yourself into a contract. And she said, and the reasons why some of us are stuck is because our people pair ignorance in law. So I have no one really to build with. Well, where are you at? Where are you at? I don't know what state, what corporate state you domicile near, but understand, it's happening. It's happening. I don't know where you particularly domicile at, but there are states being popped up all over the corporate all within, not within the corporate territory, obviously. They're you know, you got Florida came out recently, I heard, for Moroccan state. Pennsylvania there's a Moroccan state. And then you got, there's so many things I want to talk about, but again, international law class is going to be on Tuesdays once I domicile in the state of North Carolina. I think there's a state pending in North Carolina as well, I believe. I'm not, overstand, I don't force our people to participate or even be in harmony. Illinois is not sure. I think so. There's certain things I don't want to talk about. Not yet. And I don't want to talk about that because I want certain people to come to their own conclusions in their own way without any influence from me. Okay? And it's important because I need to make sure you're seeing what I'm seeing so we're both seeing the same thing. Right? And realize that as states are being established and as people are getting there, Georgia, oh yes, Georgia has it. Georgia has a state, a Moroccan state. Pennsylvania has a Moroccan state. Colorado has a Moroccan state. Colorado actually has two. Oregon has one. But unity is the issue. And I'll stay there. I'll stay there. All I can rep for is where I'm at. And that's all I can. And I haven't even been given. I haven't been authorized to speak on those matters on this platform. Those matters have to be spoken as on that platform. I'm not allowed to. So where are you located? In Unami Buffalo Nation territory. That's where I'm located. I know, trust me, I know why you're asking that, and those questions are completely and utterly legitimate. Completely and utterly legitimate. Completely and utterly legitimate. But I can't answer that. I can't. I really can't. It's not in no one place, but it's in a place that I think, and if you send me an email, I'll send you the place where I think you can go get that. Whereas though I'm not participating in giving information that I don't feel comfortable giving on my private platform, because this is a private platform. Even though all states should be transparent, every last one of them. The United States of America is transparent. The United States of America has every law that they have online, every bill that they've introduced online. It tells you who their elected officials are. It tells you how to become a member. It tells you all of that stuff. Oh, Islam. I wish I started at 24. Ooh, if I started at 24, I would have made so many different choices in my life. I wish, right? So I can attest to the fact that, there's so many more out there talking about it now, which gives you access to that information that you didn't have. But the problems with the emergence back in, I would say the 90s with this information is they didn't tell you the truth. And they didn't tell you what needed to be established before we started doing all this declaration and proclamation and complaint. They didn't give us the tools, the real tools to do what it is that we did. And because of that, a lot of people were harmed, me included. A lot of people had to suffer violations and injuries that they're still trying to get back from. And those were traumatic in it of themselves. But those experiences, again, those pains and inflictions that I have suffered is why I'm here today, able to tell you what it is that you need to learn, and not tell you what will not serve you any good. Because everybody pushing those UCCs, everybody's pushing those secure party creditors. They all paying rent. They all paying their mortgages. They all paying car notes. Ain't nobody living off of those trusts. They are lying to you. And if they're not lying to you, then they can prove it. They can prove it by giving you the process. Guess what they're not going to do? Prove it by giving you the process. Why? Because they want you to pay for something that don't work. Why do you think everything that I learned, I just put on the website for you to to make a decision for yourself. The website is being updated in terms of the grid because I don't feel comfortable anymore providing certain information on the website because I think you need to get I need to give you disclaimers in regards to if you choose to do those things, you're going to have your property taken away from you if you don't make those dedonuses, those payments, because those contractual obligations are going to be binding within their courts. They're going to take it. They're going to take you, they're going to take your property, and they're going to take your children from you. So I'm never going to sit here and give you something that's going to be a detriment to you now that I know the things that people told me were wrong. And that's wrong on all sides. Because if you talk about the so-called Moorish American, the temples, well, they're not helping anybody. Just like the Christian churches aren't helping anybody. Just like the Islamic temples are not helping anybody because these are just religious. They're only helping you in your religious and your religion. That's it. Not your political. And they're going to tell you, they're not going to tell you that. They're going to be like, you don't need that. All you need is to believe in the Lord. They're going to tell you all that garbage. Wow. The only prominent building within the communities that they serve is the church. That building is flawless in a lot of communities. Wow, the community looks like the ghetto. And the people are still going there every Sunday, giving them all of their finances. But at the end of the day, not providing any real services for those people or enlightenment. But again, I blame our people because if you keep doing the same thing, and our people have been doing the same thing, expecting a different result, well, you're insane. That is the definition of insanity because you're doing the same thing, expecting a different result. And time is not going, just time in and of itself does not liberate people. People liberate themselves by the actions that they do, right? So, what can I say? When the jig is up, the jig is up. If some of those UCCs and those different things were working at one time, they're not going to work forever. And if you got to file something 20 fucking times and to get a proper response, that means that was just a loophole that they happened to miss. You don't got to file your taxes 20 times. You only got to file that once. One time. One time. One time. One time. What am I saying? Stay tuned. I'll figure out how to start doing these blogs where at that particular time you'll get an alert from YouTube because it'll probably be on the YouTube live because nobody have Facebook like that. And everybody's on YouTube, and YouTube's the platform to kind of do these types of programs, and maybe I can do it on YouTube and then it just be linked to Facebook, so I'm having it on both. Maybe the next one I'll do that. I'll try to do a quick one tomorrow. Well, I have 3 certificates that I have got for the Library of Congress that I have no clue what to do with, because 3 certificates from the Library of Congress. What certificates you talking about? You got 3 certificates from the Library of Congress. I keep trying to tell people, our people have been looking for shortcuts to liberation for the past 250 years. They've been looking for shortcuts or different, I call it this. It's like you got a big old bullet wound that's gushing blood. You got a big old bullet wound that's gushing blood, and you try and put a Band-Aid on it. Our people have been putting Band-Aids on it. Band-Aids. Band-Aids. Band-Aids on a gaping wound, which is our rights. Our rights represent a gaping wound that we keep putting Band-Aids on instead of fixing the problem and the solutions, right? So there's a lot of activity going on. Everybody wants to participate in it, but at the same time, there's so much cloak and dagger with it at the same time. So I don't know what the solution is. I just know in my past, when I was in the Moorish American consulate movement. I was one of the initial founders of that. And that was a manifestation of the fact that Moors didn't do anything. The previous Moors that was talking about all of these things did not establish the government. We established a government, but it wasn't based on the international norms of law, meaning it wasn't based on the treaties that I spoke about before, in the beginning of this platform, in regards to what our treaties told us we had to do to reclaim our independence and our sovereignty through the establishment and the declaration of these Moroccan states pursuant to international law. Because international law and those treaties told us how we were supposed to establish our independence and establish our states, which was supposed to precede the development and the declaration of our statuses within the state. So the states were supposed to come first. We didn't know about that. We weren't taught about that. That was completely ignored by a lot of our elders. Loved them. They told us about who we were. They told us that we had a status outside of that Negro, colored, and black paradigm. We absorbed that information. They just was missing other fundamental things. And because of the fundamental things that they did not share with us and they did not plan, it's like this. You can't declare your nationality before the state. The state has to be declared first. You declare the state first through your elected officials within that state. So a group of people come together. A group of people come together within a particular divine territory. Within a particular divine territory. That particular divine territory could be, like you said, sir, or more. Not to call you sir, because that was a derogatory term. I apologize. North Carolina. North Carolina is a trust corporation under the United States of America. North Carolina is a trust organization which was established to administer the estates of those inhabitants of that territory, because the state wasn't already there. Okay, so you will come together with about 6, 7 other individuals because you have made the decision and realized that you're Moors. So that was your first declaration of nationality. But in order for it to really be established and acknowledged in law, well, you had to create a state. That in the boundaries of that state is the boundaries of that corporation within that territory, that fixed territory. So you would be claiming North Carolina, but you would be calling it whatever Moroccan state name that you want to call it, right? And then you're established through what those norms are required to be, right? What am I saying? The state has to be declared first, and then your nationality, those elected officials that have established that state, they're doing it at the same time, right? So it's kind of happening at the same time. You're establishing your state, and through your establishment of your state, you're declaring your independence and your oath and allegiance to that state, which is what is giving you that nationality, what is establishing your status in international law. Right? So that has to be done first. Could this have been done? Yeah. Should this have been done? Absolutely. Why wasn't it done? I can only say nobody wanted to do it. Because I can't say that you don't know about these treaties. I'm not going to even speak upon that, especially if you came from the you came from these schools of thought that taught you, like these private, like if you're a sheik, if you're a grand sheik of a so-called temple, you know what it is. You know what you need. You know what you're supposed to be doing. All of y'all know. So the fact that you didn't do it means that you didn't want to do it. But if you didn't want to do it, then you shouldn't have been talking about nationality. And you shouldn't have been telling people all you had to do was sign your name from a grand sheik or a sheikess, and now you got nationality. That was the fraud. That was the lie. All of that was the lie. Thinking that the Clock of Destiny was going to do anything for you. The Clock of Destiny was just housed at the Library of Congress. Library of Congress just catalogs things that people send to it for safekeeping. It's kind of like a record-keeping platform. if that makes sense. It's kind of it's a recorder of deeds. I don't know what else to kind of call it to get it basic. It's like a recorder, right? It's a recorder. So the clock of destiny just shows you that they did something. CM Bay did something, but in order to find out if a state was established, that's easy. Their own organizations are required to show you, well, is this an established state? I talked to a Moore the other day, and that Moore actually was saying to me about one of my other colleagues from the days when I was a part of the Moorish American Consulate, and we were really, really cool at that particular time. Oh, she established a state. Well, how would you know? Go to our website and find out what, I mean, if they got articles of organization, or they've gotten a constitution, or they've gotten, you know, they've sent it to the international community to let them know, deposited into the Secretary of the UN, all of the documents required to establish a state. Well, then I could say, yeah, she did. But if you don't know that, then it probably wasn't done, because she's supposed to be telling you that. He's supposed to be telling you that. They're supposed to be telling you that. The days of being ignorant Moors is over. At least where I'm concerned. I don't want to talk to ignorant Moors unless that communication is to elevate us both. What is what website called? I don't know what website you're talking about. I don't think I've been on this platform long enough. Long enough. Okay. So, without further ado, I'm going to end this platform. The website you are talking about. Well, I'm not talking about an actual particular website. I was talking about if they did have a website. It would have this information on it. All of these websites should have this information on it for any so-called, even Moroccan state. If a Moroccan state don't have their articles of organization, which would be their Circle 7 of Facts, or their constitution, the date that they were established, a copy of their inauguration, for your view, for their declaration of state, they don't have any of these things on their website. You have to challenge the validity of it. And the only way you can challenge the validity of it is by looking and seeing and making a determination based on what you see. And if there's nothing to see, well, is there anything to see? We got to stop just listening to what people say. We got to stop just being so happy that somebody's talking about it. We got to be more happy of people who are doing something about it. Not the ones talking, the ones doing. So stop allowing them to lie to you. Stop getting so conditioned to be in this particular space. Stop. That's all I can absolutely say. Yeah, it's called UnamiBuffaloNation.org. I think that's what it is. I'm almost positive. That's the state I am a member. As a national, because I did what I was supposed to do in terms of what international law as well as our treaties told us to do. So it was done, and it is searchable on the internet, just like a lot of other sites are, other so-called states are. But all I can do is rep for what I know, and what I know is what I do. That's it. Can I pin it on my live? Oh, you can do a search. Well, I gotta help you, but I'll pin it on my live. I will do that after I close. Any other last comments or questions? I will post the state that I represent after the live. But this platform and this call was just talking on a private basis. There you go. I didn't even have to. Islam, thank you for that. That is the website for the state for which I am a member. Absolutely. And there's other things I don't want to talk about because I want to see if the hagglers that love to come out and mess with me because they feel like I'm messing with their money. And I'm like, when you're doing something that's against the people, eventually you'll be found out. as the people gain knowledge. So it's not my point. It's not my job to point at the errors that are being done out there. It's my job to give you the information so you can point those errors yourself, as opposed to me having to direct you to that, to bring your attention to that. And with that, I yield. You guys have a great rest of your day. I hope you have a beautiful, beautiful day. It's a beautiful sunny day down here in Unami territory. And I'll see you soon in the next broadcast that I'll probably be having. Maybe tomorrow. I'm going to try to do it on YouTube. Islam, that is my private platform. That's the academy that was just posted. That's the academy for the classes that I host and information, contact information. I also do private consultations. Definitely do private consultations. If you feel like you have if you feel like you've suffered false imprisonment and you want to start the process of learning how to file a civil claim against those responsible for violating your liberties and your rights, you can definitely send me an email to that email address. To that website. My contact information is at the bottom, and I can do a consultation with you at a cost, because my services I'd have to charge for. And one of the things that I'm going to make sure you do is participate in the classes, so you get competent in knowing the fundamental things as it relates to what constitutes false imprisonment and arrest, because you will have to be defending yourself as a pro se litigant. Attorneys, you don't need them. You're getting them because you're not wanting to learn what you need to learn, how to deal with yourself and defend yourself in those courts. And because you don't know how to defend yourself, you end up getting an attorney, and that attorney is not going to give the right argument to absolve you from that case, because they want to get paid, right? They want to get paid by you, and they have a reputation to uphold with the state, because the state is the party or the company that is licensing their activity. So understand, their first duty is to the state. Their job, you might think their job is to get you off. It really ain't. Their job is just to represent you. And if their job is just to represent you, they don't care if you plead guilty to the charge, even though all they had to do is file a motion or a petition to dismiss based on the arrest, the unlawful arrest, based on the false imprisonment, based on the invalid warrant. They're not even going to bring that up. They're not even going to bring it up. And because that will kill 90% of the cases of a criminal, of being charged against the people for criminality. They get paid. That's why attorneys are the most hated people on the planet, because they're your enemy, even though they try to present to be your friend, and they get paid a whole lot of money to detain, to legitimize what happened to you. So they get a lot of hush money in that field, a lot of hush money. And with that, I yield. I see you guys on my next broadcast. I'll try to be more specific, try to get a date, time, location planned out, so you guys could be better prepared for when we had these calls. Because some of these because this is just a vlog. This is YeSharon's vlog. I'm gonna try to do it words though, and I'm gonna post it on my social platform for YouTube. I do have a YouTube channel. Please subscribe to that channel so you can receive notifications when I do live, or when I upload the lives from the classes, because those are all going to be on YouTube as well, because I want people to know the law. Nobody else is going to teach you, and nobody else is going to give you the information. The only thing that I ask for in return is donations, because this platform is how I sustain myself while we are fighting for independence through these Moroccan states. And with that, I yield. Islam, peace and love, and you guys have a great rest of your day.